The crystalline halls of the Zephyrian palace trembled as another explosion rocked the outer walls. Queen Lysara's bioluminescent skin flickered between deep purple and anxious silver as she watched her royal guards exchange nervous glances through her compound eyes. The rebellion had reached the capital faster than anyone had anticipated. "Your Majesty," Commander Vextal hissed, his scaled hide glistening with fear sweat. "We must evacuate immediately. The insurgents have breached the third defensive ring." Lysara's forearms gestured gracefully despite her terror. "And abandon our people? Never. We shall make our stand here in the throne room of our ancestors." But as the sounds of battle grew closer, something shifted in the air. The elegant Zephyrian guards, bred for ceremony more than combat, began stepping backward. Their courage, which had seemed absolute during peaceful times, crumbled like dust before the approaching storm. Standing apart from the retreating aliens was Sergeant Marcus Chen, the lone human assigned to the Queen's personal detail as part of the Terran-Zephyrian diplomatic exchange. His weathered face remained impassive as he checked his plasma rifle's charge level, seemingly oblivious to the chaos around him. "Sergeant Chen," Queen Lysara's melodic voice carried a note of confusion. "Why do you not retreat with the others?" Marcus looked up from his weapon, his brown eyes meeting her multifaceted gaze. "Ma'am, with respect, I took an oath. Doesn't matter if it's to a human president or an alien queen. An oath is an oath." The massive doors to the throne room exploded inward, sending crystalline fragments across the polished floor. Through the smoke and debris came the insurgents, a mixed group of various alien species united only by their hatred for Zephyrian rule. They moved with the confidence of inevitable victory. Commander Vextal was the first to break, his nerve finally snapping as he saw the overwhelming numbers pouring through the breach. "Forgive me, Your Majesty," he cried before turning and fleeing through a side exit. His subordinates followed like a flood, abandoning their posts and their sovereign without a backward glance. Within seconds, Queen Lysara stood alone in her throne room, except for the single human soldier who stepped forward, placing himself between her and the approaching mob. "You cannot face them all, Sergeant," she whispered, her voice trembling with a mixture of gratitude and despair. Marcus activated his rifle's targeting system and settled into a defensive stance. "Maybe not, Your Majesty, but I'll make them pay for every step." The insurgent leader, a massive creature with tusks and cybernetic implants, laughed when he saw the solitary human. "One soft skin? This is what protects the tyrant queen? Stand aside, human, and we may let you live." "Counteroffer," Marcus replied, his voice steady as granite. "You turn around and walk away, and I won't have to explain to your families why you're not coming home." The laughter died as the human's words carried a weight that transcended translation. There was something in his posture, in the way he held his weapon, that spoke of countless battlefields and hard-won survival. The first wave came like a tsunami of rage and violence. Marcus moved with fluid precision, his shots finding their marks with devastating accuracy. He used the throne room's architecture to his advantage, turning ornate pillars into cover and elevated platforms into sniper nests. When his rifle overheated, he drew his sidearm. When that ran dry, he pulled a combat knife. Each weapon transition was seamless, each movement calculated for maximum efficiency. Queen Lysara watched in amazement as this single human, this being from a species her people had considered primitive, systematically dismantled what should have been an overwhelming force. He absorbed hits that would have felled most species, pushed through pain that should have been incapacitating, and continued fighting with a determination that seemed to defy the laws of biology. "How?" she whispered as Marcus, now bleeding from multiple wounds, still stood between her and the remaining insurgents. "Evolution, Your Majesty," he grunted, parrying a blade with his knife. "My species didn't get smart enough to avoid predators. We got tough enough to outlast them." The insurgent leader, now desperate and alone after watching his forces systematically eliminated, charged with a roar of fury. Marcus met him head-on, absorbing the creature's massive bulk and using its momentum to drive his blade home. As the leader fell, the remaining insurgents, those few who could still move, fled in terror. They had come expecting to face palace guards bred for ceremony. Instead, they had encountered something their nightmares couldn't have prepared them for, a human with a mission. Marcus swayed on his feet, his adrenaline finally beginning to ebb. Queen Lysara rushed to his side, her forearm supporting him as his legs threatened to give way. "Why?" she asked, her bioluminescent skin now a soft, grateful gold. "Your own species wasn't even threatened. You could have fled with the others." Marcus managed a weak smile as he leaned against her surprisingly strong frame. "Your Majesty, where I come from, we have a saying. Not my circus, not my monkeys. But sometimes," he paused, looking around at the carnage, "sometimes you choose to make it your circus." Queen Lysara understood then why the Terrans had survived their violent homeworld, why they had reached the stars despite every disadvantage. It wasn't superior technology or overwhelming numbers. It was something far more dangerous. The absolutely terrifying reliability of human loyalty. As the sound of approaching reinforcements echoed through the palace, she made a mental note to request more human guards for her detail, not for their strength or their weapons, but for something her own people had forgotten in their millennia of peace. The understanding that some things are worth dying for, and the courage to stand firm when everyone else runs away. In the crystal halls of an alien palace, a human had proven once again that sometimes the most powerful force in the universe isn't technology or numbers. It's simply refusing to yield.